Well, for the latest on this, let's go now to Beijing with France 24's Charles Pellegrin. Charles, walk us through the details of the case, if you will.
Well, let's start at the beginning here with that initial ruling against Mr. Schellenberg in November 2018, where he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for drug trafficking. And then suddenly in December of that year, 2018, just a few weeks after Meng Wanzhou, the chief financial officer of Huawei and the daughter of the founder of this Chinese technological champion, was arrested in Vancouver on an extradition request by the United States. That's the moment where the Chinese authorities decided to reopen Mr. Schellenberg's case, a Canadian citizen. And in January of 2019, he then had a new trial and was this time sentenced to the death penalty. And this leads us to the ruling that happened this Tuesday here in China, because Mr. Schellenberg appealed this death penalty, and the case went to the higher court of Liaoning province, where it judged today that the evidence that had been reviewed at the previous trial was reliable and sufficient. So from now on, they've upheld the death penalty for Mr. Schellenberg, and the case will now be going to the Supreme People's Court for approval. And according to Mr. Schellenberg's lawyer here in China, the chance for this ruling to be overturned are relatively low, but not impossible. For the Canadian ambassador and the Canadian diplomats here in China, who this time were allowed to attend the hearings this Tuesday, they say that this whole process has been part of a geopolitical process, with Mr. Schellenberg's fate being really intertwined with Meng Wanzhou's fate in her extradition proceedings in Vancouver court.
Now, Charles, this is a diplomatic incident that's really brought relations between China and Canada to a new low.
Absolutely. Some saying that this is the lowest the state of relations between these two countries since the aftermath of the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. And this is just one of the many issues between China and Canada, because in addition to Mr. Schellenberg's case, which is tied to drug trafficking, in the aftermath of the arrest of Meng Wanzhou in Vancouver in December 2018, in apparent retaliation for that arrest, two other Canadians, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, were arrested in China and later accused of being a threat to national security here in China. We were expecting a verdict on the Spavor case this week, probably Wednesday morning, in the court of Dandong in northeastern China. We don't have a date yet for the verdict that will be announced for Michael Kovrig, but this goes to show that China is not afraid of, according to some analysts and definitely the Canadian diplomats here, of engaging in what's called hostage diplomacy to make sure that it gets what it wants out of international relations. And it shows how much China has accrued power over the years, that it's not afraid to face these consequences that it could face when it's dealing in hostage diplomacy.
Charles, thanks for that. France 24's Charles Pellegrin there reporting from Beijing.